Good evening, Andrew. How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
Are you in Columbus at the moment?
I am in Columbus at the moment, downtown Columbus.
Yeah, how's the weather been?
The weather has been fairly nice. Today is like weirdly rainy and warm. All of a sudden, it feels like a July overcast, drizzly day. But mostly, it's been fall, which is good,
That's good.
cool and dry.
And so you're an architect, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what projects have you worked on?
We have done a little bit of everything. We have, which is, if you Google way to start a successful architecture practice, they will tell you whatever you do not do a little bit of everything. You've got to pick a thing. But we never really got around to picking a thing. So we do uh, commercial stuff. I mean, we've done work for Ohio State University, who's here in town. So, we've done, classroom projects for them. We did a lumber mill at one point, sort of for an outfit here in town. We did a huge SPCA dog kennel down in Cincinnati at one point. We do a lot of little retail sort of stuff for local companies here in town. We've done a fair amount of uh, food related stuff. Our very first clients were a restaurant company here in town. Well, they weren't then; they were just a husband and wife at the time. Now they're a restaurant company. Uh, so they're called North Star Cafe. They've got North Star Cafe and a couple other brands, and so we've done 15 or so projects for them over the years, and then we did probably the first 30 something Jenny's ice cream locations. So if you know Jenny's ice cream, they're all over the country now.
Mhm.
So that, and then there's a cool company here in town called Homage that does sort of uh, mostly sports related sort of throwbacks sort of stuff. I mean, the idea is everything's got a sort of story to it, and they try to, tie the story into the merchandise they're selling. But anyways, we've done stuff for them, and then we do single family residential, which pre-COVID it was maybe 10% of what we did. I used to say, and now I feel like it's 25 or 30% is houses for people.
Mhm. And speaking of Jay's Ice Cream, I did meet the person who owns Jay's Ice Cream and ran the business. She came to our school back when I was at CCAD to do a speaking. And most of these projects that you've worked on, do you do both drawing and building, or is it mainly the drawing?
We Well, it's funny you say that. We are just straightforward architects, so we've been on some design build teams, but we are not contractors. So we're generally just drawing the stuff. But if this is grad 2.0 as a business, grad 1.0 was my business partner and I, current business partner and I were in school together, graduate school at Ohio State, and I got a call from a woman who said, "Hey, I got your name from somebody, and I'm looking to have somebody design and build an addition to my house." And I said, "Well, just so you know, I've never built anything, and I've never designed anything that's been built." And she said, "That's fine, that's fine." She said, you come highly recommended. And so I said, "Yeah, well, I'd love to. I got no plans for the summer." And then got off the phone with her and thought, well, geez, now I got to figure out who do I know that owns a circular saw and knows how to frame a wall. And I thought, well, Carl knows all that stuff. So he's the G and GRA and D architects. And so I called Carl and said, "Hey, you got plans for the summer?" And he said, "Nope." And I said, "You want to design and build an addition for some people?" And he said, "Sure." And so that was sort of, we did that summer. And then when we graduated, we had a few other things lined up. So we did, I want to say for maybe a year, we were doing design build stuff like that. And then eventually, the way it works in most states, certainly in Ohio, you can't get licensed unless you work for a licensed architect. So at some point we realized, well, we're never getting licensed if we keep doing this. And, it was, I always say, on a beautiful fall day. I mean, I can remember it being on a roof, nailing off plywood, leaves are blowing by, thinking, I cannot believe I'm getting paid to do this. This is the greatest job I've ever had. But 2 months later, it would be 8 degrees And I can remember, going to Skyline Chili for lunch and thinking, I can't eat enough calories to, keep weight on and stay warm because, you're burning through calories so fast. It's so cold. So between temperatures and wanting to get licensed, we sort of hung it up. And so that was the end of the first version, which was, in a very small way, design build kind of exercise.
Very cool. And where did you receive your degree?
Architecture degree, I got at Ohio State.
Nice.
So there's a couple ways you can get licensed, but the main ways are you need a degree from an a professional degree from an accredited program, which means generally if you're an undergrad student, it means you're going at least 5 years in architecture to end up walk out with a degree, or you can do what I did, which is have any old undergraduate degree, and then you can go and do a 3-year graduate school program and end up with a master's, which is considered a professional degree. And so then you can get licensed from that. So my undergrad, I went to Miami University and studied political science and history. Those were my majors.
Very cool. And for folks who want to go into architect, what is the best advice that you would pass on to them?
I would say, I'll say this: it is a funny profession because it is like almost without fail. If you go to a party, cocktail party or whatever, an event, you tell someone you're an architect, 1 out of 8, it feels like, will say, "Hey, that's funny. I kind of want to be an architect." Then, of those who say that, 90 to 100% will say, "But I'm not very good at math." And I don't have the heart generally to say to them the truth, which is you don't actually have to be really good at math to do architecture. I mean, particularly now, it's not like we're sizing structural members and, it's like I'm calculating areas and, doing basic math. But by and large, it's not a math related thing. So I would say don't be put off because you're not good at math. I mean, you do have to take some structures classes. You'll have to do some basic math, but you can get through school. B, I'd say make yourself draw, even badly. I'm not a great artist or great drawer, but I think it's incredibly valuable as a thinking tool more than a representation tool. And then C, I would say build anything. Anything. Build a deck, build a doghouse, build a fence, preferably do them all, but build a garage, just to have experience putting things together, I think is incredibly useful. And, I definitely think, the people we've hired over the years, a good marker of probable success tends to be people who have some idea about making things. And it doesn't even have to be, built thing. I mean, it could be somebody who, is a potter or, it could be all kind of making, but I just think reckoning with physical objects is critical to being a good architect.
Okay. Now, Andrew, this was a little unexpected, but we also have a visitor joining our podcast today. Well, with Christmas coming around the corner, it's not Santa Claus, sadly, but it's his brother, Mark Klaus, and his wife, Dana Klaus, from Castle Noel. Just be on the call this morning, but they're running a little late, so they're going to be joining our interview today. So this is your chance to meet them.
Fantastic.
Yeah. There's Dana.
Hi there.
Hi, Dana.
We have Mr. Mark.
Hey, wait, there I go. Hey,
Mark.
how's it going?
How you doing, Mark?
Good. How about you?
Doing pretty good.
Thank you.
I graduated from Columbus College.
Congratulations.
Design. How's your season been?
Awesome. We're just constantly building, trying to get as much done before we can't get any room to do it. So we're excited about that. Lots of great stuff going on. We're theming out a new Fred Claus area. We're creating a new place for Christmas with the Cranks, which has got some great new special effects for Frosty the Snowman. He's actually up on a roof now. So all sorts of stuff up there, new restoration. Then we have to go bring all this new stuff that we have from Toronto, because I actually had to go out and lease another 15,000 square feet because we had semi-loads coming from Canada of displays. and I needed a place to put them. So yeah, we're busy all the time.
Yeah. So this Frosty from Christmas with the Cranks, he's now on a roof, you say?
Yeah, he was in our tour, but in the movie he's up on a roof and Tim Allen's up there, and so now we have the roof and the fireplace in the background, and Tim Allen's suit is right next to him where it's supposed to be, and there's some other new surprises, if you will, coming from Frosty. So it's this great, there's special effects, there's some shocking surprises that will come there to take people a little off guard. That'll be a lot of fun. And then on the opposite side, we're decking that whole side out for an expanded Fred Claus area, and doing it up like this really cool North Pole. Lots of details, lots of faux artwork, so that everywhere you look, there's detail and something special that you don't expect to see.
Very, very cool. Well,
And did I read that you guys are opening a golf?
We already have the golf. I mean, in fact, MSN Network said it was the single greatest mini golf experience. So the concept was, what would happen if aliens met Santa Claus when they were on their vacation? So we created Alien Vacation Mini Golf, the only mini golf in freaky 3D. The whole place is this just magnificent work of art. I like to call it mini golf for people that hate mini golf, because it doesn't matter whether you like mini golf or not. You're going to go through there and you're going to go on this adventure, and there's stuff around every corner. You know, when my kids were little, I'd take them to go to a mini golf course, and you'd walk in and there it is, right? You see every single thing. And by hole 3, you're like, wow, how long does this take? And so I wanted to just use mini golf as a vehicle to pull people through this insane adventure. So you end up at this well, first the aliens crash into a house. There's a little interaction there. Then you end up at the county fair. The aliens are there. Then they end up at the North Pole, Mayan temples, the jungle, the alien spaceship, Space Force taking off, underwater, Egyptian pyramids. Everywhere you turn, there's some great stuff. And then I thought, how can we upgrade, what people already call like their favorite mini golf, like it's the greatest thing ever. So we have Castle Noel upstairs, of course, with all the great movie props. And I thought, what if we made it the world's only playthrough sci-fi movie museum? So I put my collecting hat on. I went into high gear. I collected a magnificent, enormous collection of really cool sci-fi movie props. We have a B9 robot signed by Bill Mummy right in the lobby. We have Men in Black aliens. We have John Candy's Spaceballs costume, Star Trek uniforms, Star Wars stuff, Evolution. You remember the movie Evolution, David Duchovny? Remember that movie?
Yes.
Okay, well, in that one scene where that lady's having some coffee with another lady, and she opens up the door of her laundry room, and there's this really cute alien in there. Remember that big fat sluggy looking thing? And it like gives her the sad eyes, and then she reaches to pet it and it eats her. We have that alien, which is way cool. And gosh, what other stuff do we have from sci-fi?
I think it's funny, the Conehead one.
Oh, we have Jane Curtin's Conehead's costume, all sorts of great Star Trek stuff. Oh gosh, there's so much stuff in that I just kept buying. Oh, there was a movie called Gods of Egypt. It was like a sci-fi Egyptian movie. And I got one of the amazing generals, hand-tooled leather Egyptian costume and the princess's costume, so that I could put those right in the Egyptian pyramid. So when the season gears up really big up here, and it's big down there as well. So we'll get my guy into the shops. I'll end up in the shops, and we'll start putting together these great sci-fi cases that I designed that are just really cool, and they have lights and meters, and so that the whole experience is just really cool. It's going to end up being like a Comic-Con that's in permanent spot that you can go and see all this cool stuff.
Very cool, very cool. Now, Mark, you also sorry, where are my members? This is Andrew. He's an architect, and we were on a call this morning.
Andrew, the
Now,
architect.
Now, Mark, you also make miniature sculptures, miniature Christmas ornaments. Is that correct? And
Yes, I spent,
when
okay,
did
go
you
ahead.
get started in that one?
Well, here's the thing. I've been doing artwork since I was a little kid. I mean, when I went to school, I had this awesome situation in first and second grade where they brought in this art teacher, and he was this cool old guy, looked like kind of like a cute Elmer Fudd kind of looking guy, and he had this big box of colored chalk, and he was a former Disney animator who worked on Snow White.
Oh,
Really?
that's nice.
So when we walked into class, there would always be papers or whatever this art thing was supposed to be for the day were on the tables. But we never did any artwork in that class because some kid would inevitably go like, what would it look like if Snow White and the Seven Dwarves were surfing? And he would just be like, he'd grab his chalkboard across both sides. He'd start work in the room, and then kids would yell out, and yeah, and Goofy's on it too, and he's riding a whale. Oh yeah, that's right. We'll put Monster the Whale in there, and and by the end of class, there was this incredible mural. Now, none of us ever touched a piece of paper, but our creative minds were working, right? Because we were imagining with him.
Yeah.
And when I looked at that work, I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So when I came home from school, I would just draw. I would just draw cartoon characters. I would draw comic book characters. I was just drawing and painting, drawing, painting. And then I went to see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Wow, mind blown. So I just had to build Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory in my basement for my friends to see. So I spent like 6 months. And my dad had this friend that owned a corrugated cardboard factory.
Oh, yeah.
So I had endless supplies of 4x8
Really
cardboard.
cool.
And I'm telling you, I worked on every detail of that thing to create this wonderland, right? And my Christmas thing, of course, our last name being Claus, my father was huge on decorating for Christmas. He built our house with 16-foot living room ceiling so he could put a giant Christmas tree in it. I mean, it was the most over the top experience. There was garland and ornaments from every beam on the ceiling. Even one Christmas Eve, it was like a rainy it wasn't pretty Christmas Eve. It was a rainy, damp kind of day. And my mom wanted to get one more thing from the mall. So we loaded in the car and we went to the mall, and my dad saw this store that was going out of business, and he went inside, and my mom and I sat inside, and as the curtains of water were like going down the window, I'm watching my dad. He's inside this store, and he's got this stuff going on, man. He's making a deal, just like the old man in the Christmas story. My dad's making a deal. He's got these big boxes, and they're walking around, and he gets back in the car, and he's like, okay, I got to go get my truck. And my mom's like, well, what'd you get? No, don't worry about it. It's a surprise. So we went home, and my dad got his van, and my mom, it was Christmas Eve. So, in the Polish tradition, Christmas Eve is like the Super Bowl, right? Mom's making the mushroom soup and the pierogies and all this stuff for dinner. And dad comes back with these boxes. He's like, Mary, you guys got to leave. You got to leave for an hour. And we're like, why? It's like, because dad's got a surprise. And so we ended up going to one neighbor's house. And when we came back and we saw that my father not only found this amazing 12-foot long Santa Claus and reindeer sleigh display from a store, he didn't put it in our living room. He hung it from the ceilings.
Oh,
and for every Christmas after that, Santa flew over our living room, And for all the years I've been making Christmas artwork and all the places I've appeared, I've taken thousands of photographs with people that collect my artwork and come to the castle, and it's always the same picture. It's like, all right. And somebody asked me, like, why do you have all your pictures are the same way? I'm like, I don't really know. And then it's like, and on the floor under that canopy of Christmas at our house as a kid, and looking up at that Santa Claus and reindeer flying over the ceiling, Santa was looking out over the side of the sleigh like this. So I don't know, it's just in my head. And, watching the people come to our house and just loving it and being amazed by it. I mean, I can still feel what that felt like. And so, I wanted to upgrade that idea and see if we could make it more of a public thing. I mean, I decorated the heck out of my house. Gosh, I would take like the month of November, the last half of October and November, and I would work on just decorating the house for Christmas. And then my son saw there was in fact, he just recently found the unboxing video, which I think is very cool. But years ago, he saw online, he's like, "Hey, Dad, there's this lady. She's selling donuts from the Grinch, and she's selling them for charity." So I looked at him, well, whatever. And she was slicing the donuts up, and she was gluing a slice of this foam donut to a postcard with a Grinch picture on it to raise money. And so I contacted her and I said, "So, what are you trying to do?" And she explained it to me. I said, "Okay, how many donuts do you have?" And she said, "I got 5 donuts." I said, "Don't slice them up. I'll send you a check for what you're hoping to raise out of these donuts. And, maybe they'll be cool to see something from the movies, and it's helping these people out." And it was just cool. So we got the box home and we unboxed it, and there was this foam donut with blue rubber frosting on it. And first thing we did, my son and I turned on the DVD. The title screen comes up. The Grinch cuts a hole in the bottom of the floor. The tree falls through, and there in the middle is the donuts just dangling like that, right? And I thought, in that moment, I was like, wow, that's really cool. It's right there, and we got it in our hand. And I'm like, I'll bet you people would love seeing stuff from all these Christmas movies. So, man, I just went at it, and I guess it was what I was supposed to do, because stuff just kept coming out of the woodwork. I was finding amazing things. I was signing ornaments one time, of my ornaments, and I told my wife when I was like, "Man, I would love to find a bedroom set. It's like such a cool people of Nouveau and really." And the 24, the phone rings, and it's this woman from Colorado who says, "I saw a picture of you with some movie props online, and I have Cindy Lou Who's bedroom set from the Grinch." I'm like, "Oh, awesome. You want to sell it to me?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, I want to turn it into a Cindy Lou Who style nail salon." I'm like, "Oh, no, you can't do that." It's like, it's foam and resin. It's not meant to be beat on or used in that way. So I tried to convince her that, I'll tell you what I'll do. I want the Cindy Lou Who set to be displayed for people to see. You want a Cindy Lou Who style nail salon. So why don't I design and build you all the stuff you need to have a Cindy Lou Who nail salon? So like foot baths that look like this exact style, but made the way that they could be beat on and used with fiberglass. And so she eventually decided she would do that. So I spent the whole summer building nail tables and foot baths and all this other stuff. And I created this whole display, and a big bottle display with pouring nail polish. And we put it in a trailer. We drove out to Colorado, and we brought home Cindy Lou Who's bedroom set. So I won't, I'll do anything to get a hold of something I really want. Like, and it'll happen. If the phone rings right now, like during this conversation, and I go, "Hold on one second," and I go, yeah, "What? North Carolina. Okay. 5:30. Okay. I got to go." Boom, gone. I'm on my way, because that's how it works. It's like opportunity is a window that opens, and then immediately when it hits the top, it starts to close. Opportunity doesn't just sit there open. So as soon as I get an open window, man, I'm gone. I'm on it.
Very, very cool. Now, we are coming to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you both. Mark, you are a very science fiction guy, right?
I love sci-fi.
Now, this is a retro show, and I'm going to start with you first. What was your favorite retro product growing up as a child? It could be from a toy to a video game, a board game, a movie. It could be anything.
Well, I was a master of the original Atari. And as far as movies go, I loved Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Love that movie.
That's a great movie. And then years later, I went to this lumber yard in the city, and it was in an old movie theater. And I was talking it up with the owner. I'm like, "Man, this is the coolest thing. You got an old movie theater." And he's like, "Well, the projection booth's up there. If you want to go up there, take whatever you want out of it. I don't care." So I went up there and I grabbed like 4 cans that said reel 1, 2, 3, 4 of a film. And then I grabbed this old reeler thing, and And then when I got home, I didn't see what it was. I got home, I pulled it out. And you know what it was? Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Holy
I
smokes.
actually have an original. I actually have an original copy of that this guy just said, take it.
That's incredible.
That is really cool. And Andrew, what was your favorite retro product growing up?
Well, growing up, we had neighbors across the street, the Shawls, and I remember they had, and so this was like, I don't know, early 70s. And so at my house, it was like, we barely could lobby to get toy guns. My mom was, there, no war stuff, period. That was her sort of. So I making friends with Ben and Matt Shaw across the street. And I realized not only did they have G.I. Joes, they had what I now realize are like original G.I. Joes. I think their mom, was a big, like, garage sale, whatever, kind of person. And so I think she'd collected these things over the years. They were now, they were unbelievable then as a whatever 5-year-old. But, now I look back and I think they were probably even then incredibly valuable. But she let us play with them. I just remember, and I see, G.I. Joe stuff now, and I'm like, oh no, that was not what we were playing with. This stuff was like, it was incredible. And so it's funny. It was not a thing I owned, but I remember just going over there and playing with these, vintage, World War II, characters, and just thinking it was incredible. Finally, one day we were running by. My mom looked out the window and saw my brother running by. Saw all the kids in the neighborhood go by, cap gun, whatever kind of gun, but toy gun. And then my brother runs last with a stick. And she took pity on him, dried her hands off, gathered me and him up and said, get in the car, we're going to the toy store. And so we got to go I picked out a 6-shooter, I remember. 2 6-shooters.
Awesome.
My selection.
Well,
that's cool. My brother was
sorry.
just older than me. He had all the original G.I. Joe stuff, right? And we had the spaceship and the airplane and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he played with it. But then we got older, right? And he was older than me. And then in the late 70s, the most visual experience you could get in music was Kiss, right?
Right.
So I actually took my brother's old G.I. Joes and turned them into the Kiss band.
Mark, we actually are at the end of the interview, and we just want to say thank you both, Andrew and Mark, for joining. And Mark, really hoping to come visit you in the castle sometime soon in December when I get a chance to. And I actually have something to show you before ending the call. I bought this from your gift shop a few years ago. And
holy cow, that's one of the brain-born ballistic boofers.
Did you make these, or were these?
Yeah, that was a lot kind of stuff I did when I was young. There was this. It's a happy thought.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Boofer Athenstein was creating, trying to find the physical existence of a human thought, and he found out that because he fell asleep, dropped his peanut butter and jelly into the machine, and caused this great connection, and then human thoughts, and the best ones are the happy thoughts. So on the back of all the brain-born ballistic boofers, there's a little heart where it breaks off from your brain. So there was all sorts of stuff, football players and all that kind of thing. Anything that you could be happy about.
Well, it's very well done. It's brilliant. Well done. You are the best when it comes to sculpting and everything you do.
I'm mostly known for my angels and nativities, but that's cool that you have one of those.
It's terrific.
Like
you also did an anime elf, correct?
Yep.
Ben started coming here. How old were you when you came here the first time, Ben?
I was 15 when I started coming, and then we met when I was 16 and then became friends when I was 17. So it's
nice.
So it's actually we've been friends for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've become this fine young man.
Thank you.
Well, it's nice seeing you, Ben.
Yeah, great to see you as well, Dana. And also Merry Early
Bye-bye.
Christmas and Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, always Merry
All
Christmas
that.
all year. That's right.